Canberra's a city of trees. It's a city in a landscape, and there are a lot of trees. So the idea of making work that involved trees and was growing was an immediate idea. So when I was here, I went out to Namadgi National Park and looked at that and saw the amazing granite boulders there. And so the idea of rocks and trees, which are prevalent there. Because it was the first time I'd been to Australia, I wanted to actually sort of experience the Australianness of Australia. So, so Canberra's the political centre. I wanted to go to the spiritual centre. So I headed out to Uluru and all around there. And, was there for about a week, wandering about. And the sort of redness of that place. I mean, there's redness here. It's under the ground, but there it's apparent, especially in the Olgas and Uluru itself. When you look at those desert oaks there, well, trees here as well, you get this flow patterns running through them, and you've got water where you've got flow patterns inherent in water. And I wanted the piece to have energy, so the idea of putting flow patterns into the work in some way arose. I think the idea of putting a rock in it came quite late, actually, and it sort of suddenly hit me while I was emailing backwards and forwards here. And so before I even got here, the ground staff were looking for a rock, and there's one quite nearby. And so I was emailed a picture of the rock with its dimensions, and I said, that looks fine. It's difficult to tell when the rock's on the ground what it's going to look like when it's upright, but it looked like it was going to work. In fact, it's a really beautiful shape. It's like a sail. That was pre-planned, and so when we came, the first thing I did was to go down to the site which I'd identified, and we'd made a small hole in the ground last year, and that was still there, and I still felt that was the exact spot. I picked the right spot. They had put a stockpile of tree trunks down in their yard, so I went down to look at those and identified 5, and Vince cut them in half for me, and I made I sort of stood things up that were in that yard to get a kind of scale of the thing, to see how big that rock was going to be when it stood up, and how wide the oval should be around the rock. I did all that with bits and pieces down in the yard, just so I could kind of see it in my mind's eye. Having done that, and I was able to choose the tree trunks to be cut in half. Once that was done, then Deirdre came down and helped me. I carved them, which is a question of doing the white drawing of the marks on the trunk, and then carving them, and then she would blacken them with the blowtorch, and we did the 10 of those. I think we did that in about 3 days, 2 or 3 days. So that was done, and then we put the rock up, which took a day actually, to dig that hole and stand it up and get it in the right position and get it aligned with the mountains, and then concrete that in. And then we came round. They picked up all the logs with the truck that has a crane on it, and brought those over, and we drilled the holes for those and excavated those holes, put them in. So then it was all up and running. So we just mixed up the material dry with the 3 bags of cement to 2 big bucketfuls on the tractor, and a bag of red oxide. We just mixed all that up on the ground, and then he'd bring it over and he'd put the bucket up high so that we could stand on that and just shovel it in bit by bit, and as it would go in, we'd spray it with the hose and just keep ramming it by hand with these big metal rammers, and that seemed to work very well. We'd shutter like a foot at a time, and then do the next 1.5 foot and keep going up until we reached the top, and then it really did look like something once we'd done that. And then the next day a whole crew came down from the garden works with the tree, with the auger to dig the holes, and they put them in really carefully actually, and kind of water them well. They've got a sort of well so that when it rains that collects the water, so they'll have every opportunity to grow there. They also put those crystal stuff in which attracts moisture, so with any luck they should do okay. The idea of the piece was that it would both break down and grow and change, so I wanted something that sort of became a part of the landscape that wasn't just imposed on it. And if the termites get to the carved logs quickly, then they'll go faster, and once they've gone, the ram dirt will peel away from the rock that's underneath it, and the rock will be revealed. And as I say, you need the experience of the place. You need to be able to walk in it and wander around in it and feel it in your body as much as in your head, in your mind.